Welcome back to Flick Holly Recap. Today, we'll be diving into a World War I classic. This often underrated movie is an action-packed war drama that tells the incredible story of young American pilots, including a cowboy who risked everything to fight for freedom. This movie is based on true events in World War I, and it captures high-flying adventure filled with danger, dogfights, heroic sacrifices, and heartwarming romance. Join us in the story. By the beginning of 1916, World War I had ravaged Europe, with over 9 million lives already lost in the conflict. Although the airplane had only been recently invented, it quickly became a decisive factor in the war, leading to the emergence of a new kind of hero, the fighter pilot. The movie opens with a young man named Blaine Rawlings, who is seen riding his horse toward his family ranch. Upon arrival, he notices a for sale sign posted on the fence. It was a bitter reminder that his family's ranch, which he now manages, was about to be taken away due to defaulted loan payments. Frustrated, Rawlings crumples the notice and throws it aside. Later that evening, Rawlings attends a movie showing a documentary about the ongoing war. As he watches, the sheriff approaches him and warns that the banker Rawlings had beaten up wanted him jailed. The banker had listed the ranch for sale because of the loan defaults. Showing sympathy, the sheriff gives Rawlings an hour to leave town before the arrest warrant is served and advises him to flee. Meanwhile, the documentary discusses France's impending fall if there's no intervention, and mentions how young Americans were traveling to France to learn to fly and join the war, despite the US government's reluctance to get involved. The next scene takes place at a train station in Lincoln, Nebraska, where William Jensen, a young man, says goodbye to his wife and parents as he departs for France to join the war. He reassures his parents that he will make them proud before taking a photograph of his reluctant wife. Meanwhile, in Marseille, France, a black boxer named Eugene Skinner wins a fight and speaks with his coach about his future. Although he's offered another fight, Skinner reveals his intention to leave boxing behind and instead learn to fly so he can join the war. At a seaport, Briggs Lowry receives a lecture from his father about honor and integrity before departing for France to join the war. Their parting is awkward, as Lowry's father does not understand why his son has chosen to enlist. In Paris, Jensen, Lowry, and another American named Eddie Beagle meet at the train station. They are lost, and struggle to communicate with the locals as they search for the French air base. Eventually they find their way and are greeted by Captain Georges Denault, who introduces them to the base. He tells them they aren't expected to win the war, but should act according to their conscience and courage. While Denault addresses the recruits, Rawlings arrives, confidently announcing that he intends to become the squadron's first ace. Denault is puzzled as to why Rawlings isn't in uniform when renowned American pilot Reed Cassidy lands his damaged plane nearby. Cassidy grimly informs the group that the life expectancy for pilots in the war is only 6 weeks and warns them not to expect any glory. Denault also shares that all of Cassidy's friends have already died in the war. Later, the new recruits are shown to their quarters by their instructor, Lieutenant Giroux. The massive building would serve as their home for the duration of the war. As Giroux shows them around, a lion suddenly leaps onto Rawlings, startling him. Cassidy appears and whistles, calming the lion, which turns out to be his pet. Cassidy is revealed to be the leader of the American squadron. While rooms are allocated, Lowry refuses to stay with Skinner, unwilling to share a space with a black man. Skinner is instead placed in the same room as Rawlings, who jokes that rubbing a black man's head brings good luck. That evening, the recruits visit a bar at the base. There they notice a board displaying the number of kills by each pilot. However, when they attempt to stay, a soldier informs them that they aren't allowed to remain because none of them have recorded any kills yet. As they prepare to leave, the soldier mockingly rubs Skinner's head, prompting Skinner to knock him out with a single punch. Cassidy intervenes and urges the group to leave. Over the next few days, the recruits undergo a series of lessons on flying and combat tactics. Rawlings quickly excels, impressing Giroux with his shooting skills. However, Beagle struggles with the training. During one exercise, Rawlings is tasked with flying alongside Beagle to teach him how to shoot. Mid-flight, their plane runs out of fuel, forcing them to make an emergency landing. They crash into a tree and lose consciousness. When Rawlings awakes, he is surrounded by beautiful women. Confused, he tries to stand up and Beagle reassures him that they are in a brothel. The women had found the 2 soldiers after their crash and brought them to safety. One woman, Lucienne, stands out, caring for Rawlings' injuries. Though they struggle to communicate due to the language barrier, Rawlings offers her a flower, symbolizing his admiration for her beauty. The other pilots eventually find them and take them back to base. The next morning, more American recruits arrive, including Nunn and Porter. Porter is a deeply religious man. So, Rawlings and the others show them around the base. A month later, the American pilots receive new planes which they are allowed to personalize. Rawlings paints the symbol of his family's ranch on his aircraft. With their new planes ready, the pilots are assigned their first mission, escorting a French bomber to Jammerz to destroy a German base. The night before their mission, tension fills the air as the recruits contemplate the dangers ahead. On the morning of their mission, Cassidy advises Rawlings and Beagle on what to do if their planes catch fire in midair, offering them a small hammer for quick repairs and a gun for a painless end if needed. They all soon set out on their mission. Unknown to them, Lucien watches from a distance, counting the planes as they depart. As they fly over the French countryside, the beauty of the landscape is soon overshadowed by the chaos of war. Soon, the squadron is ambushed by German forces and a dogfight ensues. 2 of the American pilots are killed, and Nunn is shot down by a German pilot known as the Black Falcon, who eventually returns to kill Nunn even after he had landed his aircraft safely on the ground. This loss enrages Rawlings and his comrades, but then Alt reminds them that war is brutal, and it's up to them to serve justice in the skies. It was a harsh initiation into the realities of war for the new pilots. By the end of that night, as Rawlings and his squadron passed the bar, they were invited in for the first time as official members of the fighter group. Though it was meant to be a moment of celebration, Rawlings still grappled with the grief of losing Nunn and the others in battle. Cassidy approached him and advised that he must learn to move past the losses. "You can't change what's already done," Cassidy said to him. Feeling the weight of the war, Rawlings decided to return to his quarters instead of joining the others for a drink. The following morning, the group visited the brothel. Rawlings joined them, but his intentions were different. He only wanted to see Lucienne, the mysterious woman who had tended to his injuries. However, upon asking the brothel's owner, Rawlings learned that Lucienne wasn't one of the prostitutes. The owner revealed that Lucienne had only been at the brothel the day they met to exchange berries for chocolate. Relieved by this information, Rawlings obtained Lucienne's address and sought her out. He found her near a worn-down building, gathering flowers with 3 children. Despite the language barrier, they made an effort to communicate. Rawlings even used a small French book to help them understand each other. During their conversation, Lucienne admitted that she had pretended to be a prostitute because she feared Rawlings might die in the war. She also shared that the children were her late brothers, and she was now their only guardian. After spending some time entertaining the children by doing some tricks on his horse, Rawlings returned to base, but his thoughts lingered on Lucienne. In the next battle, Rawlings and Potter both secured their first kills, shooting down enemy German planes. During the confrontation, Rawlings chased after Wolford, another German pilot. Though Rawlings caught up with him, his gun jammed, leaving him vulnerable. To Rawlings' surprise, Wolford didn't attack but let him go as an apology for what the Black Falcon had done to Nunn. Later that evening at the bar, Rawlings recounted the incident to Cassidy, who warned him not to expect mercy in future encounters. Meanwhile, Jensen soon began to exhibit symptoms of PTSD and was grounded until further notice. In their room, Skinner opened up to Rawlings about how flying liberated him from the discrimination he faced as a black man. He said, "Up in the sky, it doesn't matter what color you are." He then tells Rawlings about his dream of becoming an airmail postman after the war. Rawlings, in turn, shared his hope of returning to his family ranch when the war was over. One day, Rawlings visited Lucienne again, arriving in his plane. He asked her what she did for fun, and when she admitted to doing nothing, Rawlings decided to take her for a flight. They soared through the sky, but just before they landed it began to rain, leaving them drenched. Taking shelter under a tree, Lucienne read Rawlings a note she had written which said, "It's no good for me to like you." When Rawlings asked why, she confessed that she worried about him. As they spent more time together, Rawlings and Lucienne grew closer, and the affection between them deepened. That evening, when Rawlings returned to base, he found that Beagle was on trial. Lowry had accused him of forgery, and the commander suspected Beagle of being a German spy due to his lack of kills. Rawlings urged Beagle to be honest, prompting Beagle to confess that he had once robbed a bank with a toy gun back in the United States. Cassidy confirmed this story, and after a group vote, Beagle was allowed to stay. In the next mission, the squadron had to intercept German planes that were attacking French civilians. The American pilots succeeded in stopping the assault, with Lowry and Skinner earning their first kills. During the battle, Skinner even saved Lowry from an enemy attack, solidifying their bond. Rawlings, too, faced a moment of truth when he encountered Wolford again. He was forced to shoot him down when his co-pilots were at threat. During this same mission, Beagle's plane was shot down and he crashed in the middle of the battlefield. Rawlings, determined to save him, made an emergency landing behind French lines. With the help of a soldier on the ground, Rawlings reached Beagle, who was trapped under the wreckage of his plane. Under heavy enemy fire, Rawlings had no choice but to cut off Beagle's hand to free him. Together they made their way to safety. Back at base, Lowry finally put his differences with Skinner aside, sharing an old bottle of wine with him. That night, Rawlings struggled to sleep, so he headed to the bar where he had another conversation with Cassidy. Cassidy, still driven by the loss of his friends, admitted that he remained in the war solely to exact revenge on the German ace, the Black Falcon, who had killed his comrades. One night, Rawlings received word that the Germans were approaching Lucienne's village. He defied orders, taking a plane to rescue her. After successfully evacuating the children, Rawlings returned to retrieve Lucienne, who was hiding from the Germans. As they prepared to take off, German soldiers heard the sound of the airplane and opened fire. One of the bullets wounded Lucienne. So immediately Rawlings arrived at the base, he rushed her to the hospital, staying by her side until she regained consciousness. Once stabilized, Lucienne was transferred to a larger hospital, and the children were sent to live with an uncle. Rawlings promised to visit her after the war. Rawlings eventually faced questioning by the commander. However, he was cleared of any wrongdoings, with then Alt even giving him an award. The squadron's next mission was to intercept a German Zeppelin headed for a French residential area. During the battle, Porter was killed and Cassidy was wounded by the Black Falcon. To prevent the Black Falcon from finishing him off, Cassidy sacrificed himself, crashing his plane into the Zeppelin and causing its destruction. After a brief service to honor Porter and Cassidy, Rawlings visited Lucienne in the hospital. However, he arrived to find the town being evacuated. Just as he was about to give up, he heard Lucienne's voice, and they reunited. Lucienne told him that she was leaving for England with her family. Before parting ways, they share a long kiss and Lucienne tells him to be careful because she wouldn't be around anymore to count the planes. Rawlings promised to take her to Paris after the war. With Cassidy gone, Rawlings became the squadron leader. Their final mission was to escort a French bomber to Jammerz. As they neared the target, the Germans attacked. Lowry's plane caught fire, and he took his own life rather than face a fiery death. In the ensuing dogfight, Skinner and Rawlings destroyed several German planes. Beagle also got his first kill of the war. After the fight, Rawlings returned to destroy the German base, drawing the attention of the Black Falcon. The two aces engaged in a tense aerial battle. Rawlings eventually had the Black Falcon in sight, ready to shoot him down, but two other German pilots intervened and Rawlings was distracted, making the Black Falcon gain ground on him. With the help of Skinner, Jensen and Beagle, Rawlings was able to fight off the other two planes. But he was now an easy target for the Black Falcon, who shot and wounded Rawlings. He then flies beside Rawlings to mock him like he did Cassidy, just as he prepares to finish off Rawlings. But before he could, Rawlings performed a trick which drew him next to the Black Falcon. He then extended his right hand outside the plane, holding the gun Cassidy had given him. With the gun he shot the Black Falcon and killed him. Rawlings has finally avenged his friends and Cassidy. He and the others return to base. The film concludes by detailing the fates of the American pilots. Jensen survived the war and returned to Nebraska, where he received a hero's welcome. Skinner enlisted in the U.S. Army but was prevented from flying due to his race, later joining the airmail service. Beagle married an Italian woman and started a flying circus. As for Rawlings, he traveled to Paris but never found Lucienne. He went on to build one of the largest ranches in Texas, never to fly again. A picture of the squadron, the Lafayette Escadrille, was shown at the end of the movie.